Today, we are joined by Kenneth Rogoff, who is a chess grandmaster, and somehow that's actually one of the least impressive things about you. You don't see that very often.
Well, I don't know, but thank you.
Ken is also a professor of economics at Harvard, the former IMF chief economist, and an expert in financial crises, as well as a book author. So, your book, we have it right here, Our Dollar, Your Problem. It's talking about the decline of the US dollar, and not in terms of its actual value, although I know you touch upon that, but rather the decline in its global influence as the world's reserve currency and all of the benefits that come around that.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of the book's about the rise
Yeah, and
and
how it
how we
happened.
beat one competitor after another and how the rest of the world lives with it. The title, Our Dollar, Your Problem, comes from 1971 when Nixon was president. Frankly, even most professional economists don't know this, but
Mhm.
you used to be able to trade dollars for gold if you were a country.
Mhm.
You'd have to go back a lot longer. Like if you went back and had a 1925 note, it actually said payable in gold. It actually said it on it.
Mhm.
But oh well, that wasn't true. But for countries, it was. And we were the center of the system. We offered to trade it for gold. The other countries had to peg to the dollar. They had to fix their exchange rates. And Nixon at one point just said, no, I'm not going to do it anymore. And they were furious because they were holding gazillion dollars in treasury bills. They don't actually hold physical dollars. I said, like, what are we going to do? And Nixon sent his treasury secretary over there, this Texan, John Connolly, and he said, well, it's our dollar, but your problem. And what spoke to me about it was the arrogance of it, which I never liked. I'm very proud to be an American. I think we're
Mhm.
the greatest country in the world and all that, but I don't like that sort of attitude. But also, it's ironic because actually it was the biggest screw up, since maybe recently that we've ever had.
I actually want to ask you about that. And honestly, maybe we talk about it over a game of
Sure,
chess.
let's go
No
for it.
clock. When's the last time you played a game of chess?
I last played chess. We're talking computers, people, anything in 1980, except for one exhibition game in 2012, a blitz game against Magnus. That's it.
Wow. Wait, how young were you when you became a grandmaster?
22, I guess.
Wow.
I
And
mean, which back then was young.
very
I
young
mean,
back
I mean,
then,
it was
yeah.
different. I think I had a
Pre-computer
higher rating
era.
than anyone else, my age in the world, which didn't mean I was going to be better than them.
But I do have kind of maybe a silly question for what we were talking
Please.
about earlier. So, the 1970s, President Nixon depegs the US dollar from the gold standard, Bretton Woods collapses. You said it was one of the worst policies. It kind of worked well for America, though. How did we get away with that? It's crazy. What gave the US dollar its value if it was no longer pegged to something tangible?
Good question, but it worked out really well eventually.
Okay.
But
I
the
know after inflation
1970s
was
was
really bad.
terrible. The
Okay.
1970s, we didn't grow, we had inflation, there was all sorts of volatility. Europe split away from the dollar. It was actually a low point in
Mhm.
the dominance of the dollar after World War II. I want to mention this is sort of random, but I was living abroad. And when I know how people feel about Trump, I mean, don't have to say. Uh, I don't want to get into that, but I felt that way about the way many of my students feel about Trump. That's how I
Oh,
felt
that's
about
how you felt
Nixon.
about Nixon. Okay,
Oh,
interesting.
absolutely. I didn't want to come home when he became president. I said like, okay, I'm going to stay in Europe, but then I had my parents and
Yeah.
everything, and his yeah, his going off the gold standard. It, you know, probably we had to do it eventually,
Mhm.
but he didn't. We didn't have a
Wait, why
plan.
did you have to do it
We
eventually?
had to do it eventually because we were not prepared to live within the constraints that it implies. If the dollar is as good as gold, you can't just keep printing them and printing them and printing
Mhm.
them and saying it's good as gold.
And when we say it's good as gold, is it because it's supposed to be the trust in the US economy or in the
Were you
US as
talking
a
about
whole?
today?
Today or even
No,
back then?
no,
How did
no,
it change?
back then they could trade it for gold. So there was a little bit of don't do it. We won't tell you if we have enough gold. I mean,
Yeah.
for a little while. it was fragile, but it didn't have to end that. No, what eventually happened today, that's a very new invention, is that um, boy, I don't know if I should be doing this, but I am addicted. It's like I'm staring. I mean, maybe I should be staring at you, but I'm staring at the position, and I just can't get it out of my head. So, but I'm trying to go back to economics. Eventually, we realized that there was a way to try to make the dollar more trustworthy by having an independent central bank.
Mhm.
And that's where we stand today, where the central bank, we have the central bank it's not in the Constitution. It's not like the Supreme Court. It's just a creature of Congress where we set it up. They gave it the power over printing money and separated it from the Treasury. So that was not UK. Britain didn't have that till 1997. Most countries didn't. It was a novelty. You make it independent because the government's always tempted to print money and
Mhm.
stuff, and so you pull it out. The dollar, originally after World War II, system was set up that put the dollar at the center,
Mhm.
had the European countries, Japan, Canada, but it didn't have a lot of the world. I mean, China was communist, Russia was communist, and they had their own crazy exchange rate systems. Everything was fixed, and they weren't using dollars. India was like that, and lots of the world. And gradually, as they started trading, as they started having financial systems, they needed, how do they trade with each other? How does Ethiopia trade with Sri Lanka?
Mhm.
Well, there's a Sri Lankan currency and there's an Ethiopian currency, but they don't even know what it is. I mean, a lot of people, if you show them a dollar bill anywhere in the world, they kind of know what it looks like.
Mhm.
Even if you show them a Canadian dollar, you're from Canada,
Yeah,
right? I thought,
loonies and toonies,
yeah,
don't forget
yeah,
us.
show a Canadian dollar. I grew up in Rochester across the border, so I
Yeah.
saw a lot of Canadian dollars. But most people, I don't know, if this is real. And they use dollars. And so as China grew and as Russia grew, and especially China decided to center on the dollar. I don't want to get into technical details,
Right.
but they needed to hold dollars. Everybody was holding dollars. So we colonized the whole world with dollars. And what happened starting about 10 years ago was China especially said, this isn't working for us, and started retreating.
So you talk about how it's really hard for a global currency to go from one and another. And so far, it takes maybe 1 to 2 centuries. But it feels like could this time also be different from what you said that there's never been such a dominant currency before that's used everywhere globally,
So,
basically.
so the concern for Americans is we have milked this to the max.
For sure.
So there are two ways we've milked it. Sort of a simple one
Hmm.
is that we all pay lower interest rates than we. It may not. I'm not going to ask about your personal finances, but if you've ever borrowed money for a car, or you've ever borrowed money for your business, or ever borrowed money to buy an apartment, you paid a lower interest rate because you live in the United States and
Hmm.
can borrow in dollars. Not crazy lower, but I want to say half a percent,
Hmm.
percent. That's a big deal. It's especially for the government owes $37 trillion. So 1% a year is $370 billion.
Hmm.
It's money. But there are other things that are pretty darn important. They're not as easy exactly to quantify, but you may be aware that whenever we're angry at somebody, we at least, now I guess we have more things. We used to put what we call financial sanctions,
Yep.
which is we won't let you use our banking system. We'll do stuff to you. And that's pretty painful because not only are people using the dollar, they're using our banking system, our financial system. We made it that way. We
Hmm.
kind of controlled the rules of the game. It's almost like we set it up. We had so much power. Let's go back to me I lived in Sarajevo, when I was
In
a
Bosnia?
teen in Bosnia Herzegovina. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was in Spain and the UK, but the most time was in Sarajevo. I was, turning 18. my friends, my older brother, were getting drafted. My older brother didn't end up going into war,
Mhm.
but a lot of my chess friends that I played chess with all the time went to Vietnam.
Wow.
It ruined their life. Like, I didn't have any of my really good friends die in Vietnam, but I don't know how to say it gently. Their brains died. I mean, they got addicted to heroin, which a lot of the troops did because you're so scared, so bored, and they were just never the same again. So we were sending troops, and we
Mhm.
still send troops, but a lot of times we use sanctions now.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about sending American troops into Ukraine, or we did send troops into Iraq, but not and Afghanistan, but not like we used to. So that's the dollar. And it's not just that we're first, it's that we're everything. So as the rest of the world pulls back, Europe's working on it, China's working hard at it, and a lot of other countries don't like us, it reduces our ability to do that. And so it's not that somebody's going to replace us, it's that we've colonized all these territories
Mhm.
and they're reclaiming it
Mhm.
somewhat. And we are so dependent on it. I mentioned the really painful thing about obviously military intervention, but also interest rates. It will affect our interest rates in a time, I'm sure we'll come to it, where we're having trouble balancing our budget.
Which is actually one of your main points in the book, how it's not so much that there's a better competitor right now, but we're
I
sort of
think it's
our
my
yeah,
move.
yeah,
I'm
it
going to
is your
make
move.
one move.
But we're sort of doing this to ourselves. And you talk a little bit about the very low interest rates, you talk about the
Mhm.
debt, you talk about how the central bank might be a little too independent right now, or the Federal Reserve. Do you mind breaking down those three concepts and why those are so bad for the power of the dollar globally?
The thing which is definitely happening is it's
Hmm.
fraying at the edges. China's pulling away. They're not as dollar centric. They're reducing their dollar holding. And the rest of Asia is going to do the same. And they're not just using it less, but developing their own financial structure,
Mm.
not just ways of trading around Asia, but trading with Africa, trading with Latin America, trading. Not happening overnight, but it's happening. And the Europeans want to do the same thing. But what's also a vulnerability is that we have just partied down on the fact that everybody loves the dollar.
Mm.
We have, I think, if you take all the mountains of debt that all the governments of the world have put out there, just take the major advanced countries, we are half of it, US,
Mhm.
and we are churning it out like crazy because we've got this idea, no one will punish us for it. So, and our debt has gotten very high. And so there's concern that we can run into problems with that someday. And I would say, particularly, the fact that, sorry, my mind's wandering to chess, and I just stopped thinking about chess.
No, you're good.
Stop thinking about it.
It
There's,
happened to me for a second too, but
although
we're back
I'm
now.
trying to talk about, I want to talk about my book. There's this concern that the high when interest rates have gone up, I
Mhm.
won't get it, but that's something I predicted for and written about for a long time. Historically, they go like that. They've gone up, and when you're the world's biggest debtor, it hurts. Our interest bill has exploded. It's now bigger than our defense budget, and set to go up a lot more. And there's no urgent thing that happens, but eventually, and probably fairly quickly, over quickly is not the word for it, but steadily, interest rates are going to go up because
Mhm.
we keep piling up more debt. And your mortgage rate will go up, the car loans will go up. And at some point, that's going to be very hard to stand the heat. That's what happens to everybody. So, and then if on top of that, the rest of the world doesn't want the dollar as much, I'm sorry to layer all these things on it.
It's a layered topic. I think it's good that you
Please
are.
repeat it to me because I'm just, I'm so in the weeds. If on top of that, the rest of the world's pulling away from us,
Mhm.
that pushes up interest rates a little more. And I don't know what'll happen, but how much tolerance will the government have, Trump or if Harris had won Harris,
Mhm.
for letting interest rates go up? And that's when things come to a head. And I'll finally say, you don't just have a crisis out of the blue. You tend to have a crisis when you're not really figuring things out and something bad happens. You get caught on your back foot.
Mhm.
That hasn't happened yet. I mean, we've seen the pandemic, the financial crisis.
So your book, despite the title, is not actually alarmist. You're not saying that the dollar is disappearing right now, but just that the decline has started. We're at the start of the decline. If you're an average American reading your book, what do you do with this information?
Well, I think we're vulnerable. So I think, there's this period where we call it US exceptionalism, where,
You can finish your point, then come to the
oh,
chest. I
God,
see you. I see you
why
looking
have you
already.
do this to me? We think of US exceptional. I feel like you're really seeing what's wrong with me. Uh, US exceptionalism, where if you go back to 2000, uh, around the late 1990s, Europe was the same size as the United States. It was equally important. Nobody imagined it would get left in the dust.
Mhm.
If you go back to 1990, Japan was ahead of us. And by the way, the European stock market was worth the same as the United States stock market. Going back to 1990, I lived in Japan at that time. Their stock market was worth more than our stock market was worth. Their housing was worth more. And then, just especially over the last 20 years, we have just left the world in the dust. So there are lots of measures of this. I mean, some of it's great, but some of it's just, people are just think we're that exceptional. And I think the process of sort of coming back to earth, which might involve other countries doing better, but what I sort of see a period where uh, the rest of the world's going to be catching up. So you ask, what does it mean to us? I think you'll see it most dramatically when we have another crisis. I don't, I don't know what it's going to be. It's very hard. A pandemic.
Is there anything people can do to prepare for it?
There's not a lot you can do to prepare for it. It's like a short answer. Okay, you can think about. I would say the main thing to do is stay calm. When there's one no, no, it's true. It's when you play chess
Mhm.
and you make a blunder, the most important thing to do is just look at the position the way, not say, oh, if I'd done something different, it would be, if I just pulled my money out of the stock market last week, it would be better. You just
Mhm.
don't do that. You just kind of think calmly. And I think a thing that really good players are able to do, everybody makes mistakes. Even
Mhm.
Magnus makes blunders. I think he makes less than other
For sure.
humans, but he makes blunders. And just to step back. I'd say the same thing, by the way, when you lose a game. It's very easy to just lose your nerve. I'm no good and everything. And you have to stay calm. And I think that's the most important thing.
Mhm.
But I would say, there's a case for diversification, some. Uh, so that can mean real estate, can mean holding crypto, which you
Mhm.
asked. It can mean holding foreign
Do you
assets.
hold any crypto?
I don't. And I'll
None
tell
at all.
no, none at all, because I write about regulating. And I have a sad story to tell about that,
Oh
which is
no.
my amazing daughter, Juliana, who's about to turn 27 very, very shortly. When she was 12, I think, uh, got Bitcoin. She figured out how to mine it. Remember,
Wait, that's so
no, but
cool.
back in the
Yeah.
day, I don't want to. She is great,
Yeah.
but back in the day, the problems were easy. Like, the whole way Bitcoin's designed is that I'm not going to pretend like I understand it, and probably have friends who understand it better, but they make it so that the problems you have to solve get harder and harder.
Mhm.
So she actually reached having 25 Bitcoin, which would be $2.5 million,
Yeah, I
something like.
think Bitcoin hit 110K
Oh, okay,
yesterday.
then I've got
Yeah.
then getting closer to 3 million.
Yeah.
And so it's 2012, I think, and maybe late 2012. And she says, Dad, I have 25 Bitcoin. Do you know what it is? And I said, yeah, I mean, I did know what it was. And she said, I looked up what it was worth, which was $250. That was what the market price was. And she said, somebody offered me an Amazon gift card for $700.
No,
What
no, not like
what do you think?
this.
And it was sort of so needless. I mean, I didn't tell her what to do, but I certainly didn't say not to do it. Don't do it. It could be worth a fortune.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a right to comment on it as an investor beyond that. But I'm probably not alone in this. But I haven't bought it myself because I speak to policymakers,
Hmm.
sometimes world leaders, and I can't be, trading my book, or at least that's what I thought before Trump. Anyway, I don't know. Like
Before our
maybe I need
president
to buy
launched a
some.
meme coin
Maybe
and
I
his
maybe I need
wife.
to buy some of the meme coin, before I talk to him.
Okay, and I think it's your move. I'll let you
Oh,
think
is
a
it?
little bit here too.
I mean, this is
I
real.
just played
Oh,
Bishop
you just
B2.
boy, this is really pathetic that I don't know that. But
No,
okay.
no, no. You're talking about your book. You're deep in thoughts. I think it's impressive that you could do all of this still.
Uh,
Okay,
um,
let me take a second to
take
think
a
about this
second,
position
please.
also so I don't just completely blunder.
We don't want that.
Yeah, we can maybe both take a second to think of the game and then come back to it. Because I don't know if I'm supposed to castle ever here.
I sometimes describe Trump as a coffee house player, which is not totally cutting him down.
No,
His
no, no.
players are
Coffee
really
house
good,
player are much
really
better
good.
than the average
Right,
person
right,
thinks, but
right,
not as good as they think.
right. That's
Is
a
that
great
wait?
way.
Is that your
That's a
analogy?
great. No, I didn't have that, but they tend to be very aggressive. That aggression works very well against a weak player, not very well against a strong player. But also, if you're not careful, they take moves back, and
Mhm.
we're not going to do that. But I think Ben Johnson mentioned that to me when I was trying to work on that analogy. I'm not sure I should have done that, but
I don't know. I'm really rethinking my queenside castling now. I think it was probably a mistake.
I don't know.
I think I know it was a mistake, and what am I gonna do about it? When in doubt, attack, I guess. We're gonna have to go for something desperate. Um, what do you think the real inflation rate is currently at right now?
It's different for different people. So uh, I was talking to my son,
Mm-hmm.
who's in fintech. He thought I earned more money when I was his age. I mean, not even close. And by the way, I mean, I was an academic, and you earn that much as an academic. I actually earned more as a teenager playing chess.
Oh
So I was saying,
no, because chess players aren't really balling either, so that's saying a lot.
yeah, well, okay, so you can take that into account when you meet academics. But I said, look, if you took my salary and controlled for inflation, it was still way lower than yours.
Hmm.
And he said, yeah, but how much was a house? You could buy a house. Like the interest rates were lower, you could buy a
Right.
house. And so I think
Still my
it's
turn,
still
don't
your
worry.
move. It's still your turn.
I'm
Sorry,
letting you finish
I'm
the
sorry.
point this
I
time.
just can't
You're
control
doing
myself.
great.
It's like a therapy session. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
No,
like,
for me too. I really didn't like my last move, but we're gonna roll with the punches. It's okay.
well, that's very kind of you. You're the first, chess player. I've talked to Jennifer, some
Jennifer Shahadi.
Jennifer Shahade. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of supportive of her earlier in her career, and that she's been very nice to me recently. And Judith, I talked to, but Judith, I'm sort of embarrassed to ask stupid chess questions.
You can ask stupid questions to me. Go for it.
No, Judith, I asked. So yeah.
What were the chess questions you were thinking of?
Oh, it's changed so much. I mean, uh, people play positions now that Bobby Fischer would have given me a draw. And Magnus wins these positions where Bobby Fischer would have given me a draw. The understanding of, just major piece ending. So there are things like I saw Magnus won some game with rook and bishop against knight and bishop. I wouldn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Same,
something
honestly.
so simple, you know. I mean, evidently, it's really hard to defend. I mean, it's not just that he's like a genius. It's just like computers came along. One thing I took away from chess and so many years passing was there are these positions I thought everything. I thought I knew I thought I'd studied them. Maybe I'd studied them with really strong players. And the evaluation changing and changing. Uh, so it can range from super simple positions where, okay, Bobby Fischer was sort of famous. He was the top player in my day. I
Hmm.
mean, maybe in there for I'm going to play one move. He's maybe in there for the greatest player of all time,
Yeah.
but uh, he's, uh, he didn't know everything about rook endings and some of these things. And it's just evolved. And then there are these openings where just changing. It's sort of when Deep Mind came along, it brought back the romantic style,
Yeah.
which everybody thought you have to guard your material, you have
Hmm.
to count pieces, you can't do anything, and then it plays this swashbuckling style. You think it's Paul Morphy or Adolf Anderson, from the 1800s. Somehow they had it figured out. And okay, that changed. It changed how Magnus played and humans played. The thing which just blows my mind is you probably know some of the first books were chess books, right? I mean, the printing press came along, and I think it's one of the very
I
early
actually
chess.
didn't know that. One of the
Yes,
first
yes,
books
yes.
ever was a
One of the
chess
first
book.
few books is a chess book,
Wow, I
and
had no
that's
idea.
spread chess. That's what I mean. I'm saying this authoritatively. Maybe it was the 2000th book printed,
But
but
early,
there was an early
early
chess
on.
book
Okay,
that
that's really
spread
cool.
around and homogenized the game and stuff. And of course, they had this opening that I guess nowadays is referred to as the Italian opening. We knew that in my day. We thought it was like a joke. I mean, so passive, didn't seem to lead to anything. And then I tune into Magnus's games or Nakamura's
Hikaru,
games.
yeah.
Hikaru, sorry, Nakamura's games. That's what they're playing. And somehow the computer and all this evolution came back to 1500.
Right.
It's and I learned a lot from that as an economist because you're always thinking we know everything and you're bored, seeing some little twist. And you just have to have humility, that things constantly. I'm sorry to do this to you, but I'm still doing it.
I know my position is in really big trouble here. I'm not gonna let you take the queen that easily. You're gonna have to fight for
I'm
it.
gonna have to work for the
Yeah.
queen. Okay, well, I'll
I
work.
knew queenside castling was a blunder as soon as I made it. I'm like, why would I do that?
Um, okay, there's probably stronger moves than that.
I did have a question I actually wanted to ask earlier. When I asked you about what can the typical American do about this, there's not really anything to do. So, what is your goal with this book? Who do you want to reach? What do you want them to do?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, certainly, I'm trying to reach a broader world about what to expect.
Mm,
Like, I can't control if the icebergs are melting. I can't control what the weather is going to be, but I have a vision of where things might be going, and so that's something I'm hoping to reach the world. I talk about we're entering a period where there might be inflation again. I mean, I'm telling you exactly how to deal with it, but expect it. I mean, know that it might be
When you
coming.
say a period where we might have inflation again, what do you mean? Because don't we already have inflation?
Have high
Have it.
inflation
And
like we
what
had
is
during
high
the pandemic.
inflation?
So, right now we have a little over 2%. We had a burst.
If you're in crypto, just kidding, just kidding.
That's funny. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, right now we had a burst of it, but it's not something fatal.
Mm,
But well, I think if we get another burst, it's going to be very destabilizing. So of course, I'm talking to policymakers. Like,
yeah,
I think the U.S. has decided everything's free. We can just pay for everything. Both sides. The Republicans think you can cut taxes as much as you want. The Democrats think you can spend as much as you
right.
want. I certainly speak to that, but I'm not. I mean, part of it is I'm telling about the history of how we got here. We live in this kind of crazy world
Mhm.
and give you
Maybe
some
we take it for
perspective.
granted, honestly.
Oh no, we definitely take it for granted. We
Yeah.
definitely take it for granted, and try to help people think about it. So
Okay, I'm going for desperate things
no,
here. Check.
you have to go for desperate things, and just to be sure, which way should I go? Um,
I'm probably cooked either way, but hey, I'm gonna make it interesting.
no, you're definitely make it interesting. So I'm just going to be a little bit safe here.
Okay, can I ask you some of my fun questions now?
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna recycle one of the questions you asked Premier Jew. What keeps you up at night?
Many things. Many things keep me up at night.
Other than chess.
Other
Other
than
than
chess.
sleeping, looking up at the ceiling, picturing the
Other
pieces.
than sleeping, looking up at the ceiling, a lot of things keep me up at night. But I worry a lot about the fact that the future is so uncertain with AI. I
Oh,
can think of my
yes.
kids. Everyone wants to get rich quick, which evidently you have made a head start. I'm not asking your
A
portfolio.
start,
A
nothing
start.
crazy.
They want to get rich quick because just you don't know what what
I don't know
lies
if
in
we're
the
gonna have
future.
social mobility in
You don't.
even the next year.
We don't know if we're going to have social mobility. And you got a job as a lawyer, you got a job as a radiologist, you got a job as a professor.
Hmm.
What's the future? And so trying to talk to young people about that, it's a very hard because I don't know. I mean, we want to see ahead. I feel like it's not going to unfold as fast as the utopians, say. And I worry that it's going to be very unstable as it unfolds. Is also something that I worry about. So
Do you think the singularity is gonna happen? And I would define it as when
yeah,
non-biological intelligence exceeds all of biological intelligence combined.
I mean, I'm not a specialist on this,
Your gut.
but yeah, I mean, how can it not happen? Well, in some sense, and the question
Hmm.
is, how do we control it? How do we make it relevant? I do. It's funny. I've been debating the positive side of that for a while. I actually
Hmm.
did a debate 2012 with Peter Thiel and
Well,
Gary
I'm still
Kasparov.
trying to challenge him to chess one day.
He lives in Los Angeles. You
I
should be able to
know.
hunt him down.
Oh, I will. I'll
And
find you, Peter.
I think he likes to play chess. You did succeed in complicating it some.
Thank you. Check. And I'm asking you the hard questions
And you're
too.
asking me the hard questions just after you complicated things. I'm not 100% sure you complicated them enough.
I don't think I did either,
But you definitely complicated them a lot. I'm not 100% sure
definitely
I can
not
get away
enough.
with this, but I think it works. But I could be wrong.
Okay. Well, I mean, I only have one attempt here, which is this. Yeah. Well, I tried.
No, I didn't follow everything. I'm sure I could have played more accurately, but did the best I could.
What do you think the Chinese Communist Party does right?
What do they do right? Um, they limit the amount of screen time that kids can have.
And
I'm all for
they
that.
don't allow TikTok the way it's allowed in our country in China, which is
So
tells you something.
I'm in favor of regulating social media more,
Okay.
not YouTube channel or your Twitch channel. But I mean, in particular, we regulate newspapers and
Hmm.
TV. You can't slander people because you reach millions or even tens of millions of people. Yet you can reach tens of millions of people and slander people with sort of
Yeah.
almost no consequences. And I don't like that. So Elizabeth Warren's a very progressive senator. She's my neighbor in Massachusetts. I love her. And I strongly agree with maybe 3 out of every 10 things that she says. But this is one I like totally agree with her. I think she has this right that we need a lot more regulation.
That's a good take,
I,
actually.
I'm looking at the position. I seem to have recovered. I mean, I definitely didn't see everything, and I could have ended up just getting checkmated.
No.
And that was very good. Queen B2 that was a very good attempt.
No, I'm really trying to give you hard questions to distract you while I think of this.
You're doing a good job.
Who was the least evil of the Axis powers?
Who is the least evil? Well, probably Italy because they were incompetent.
No, I know it's an easy answer, but I just think it's such a weird
What's
question.
funny, I mean, tell you what's funny is I've used this as an example of how little history the average Harvard student knows. And I've gone around asking people,
Who the least evil Axis
oh,
power
no,
is? Because that would be
an
incredible.
easier question.
Okay.
Which side did Italy fight on in World War II?
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, that's sort of a multiple choice question.
Interesting.
And it's a little bit tricky, like it get conquered, and I don't even know all the details.
Yeah.
But that's actually a very subtle question that you studied international relations and you know that. But a lot of people don't know much history. I mean, I don't know how to say it kindly. So my book, getting back to that, it gives you a flavor. I think one of the things people don't understand is that we were lucky at times. Things went our way that didn't have to go our way. It got better than we could have imagined. So I actually, at the end of the book, cite one of my favorite chess players,
Bent Larsen. I remember. It's such a good quote.
Yeah,
you should share it.
No, so I was actually, I was doing an interview with him. I wasn't interviewing. We were on Canadian TV. I played in the Canadian Open.
You've played in the Canadian Open?
I totally played in the Canadian Open.
That was one of my favorite tournaments growing up in Canada.
So I played in 1968. I finished second. I was 15. I finished second to Bent Larsen. And our last game was a televised game, national TV in Canada.
Wait, they used
seriously,
to do that?
They did.
Because I know you did commentary when Fischer was playing Spassky on PBS.
A bit later,
right?
I was on PBS.
Yeah.
And I'll get back to that.
Yeah.
But the interviewer said to Larsen, and by the way, I made a draw with him.
That's
and
awesome.
I a little bit regret it because I probably had a winning position. I'd have to show it to a computer.
Yeah.
But I had a position where I'd have to play really badly to lose.
Like this position, which I'm still really struggling to find anything to say this.
But you're not going to be an improving young player if you make a draw.
Mm-hmm.
It would be better to lose and just, learn a lesson from it. And I didn't. And but anyway, we did this interview afterwards, and the person asked, "Would you rather be lucky or good?" And he thought for a second and said, "Well, both." And I think what Americans don't realize is we're good. We're always telling us, we're just the greatest, and we don't realize how lucky we've been. So, yeah. There are a lot of good chess. There chess players can be very wise. So, well, I don't know what I should do next, but I should probably exchange some stuff.
Yeah. This was really awesome. For anybody who does want to check out your book, where should they go?
Well, I mean, it's sold at a bookstore.